Okay, so for years now, we've had to listen to the so called stars of the WNBA whine and cry publicly about how men don't support them. Over and over, we've had to listen to them cry about how deserving they were to be supported because of their professed exciting and professional gameplay. One could not count the amount of times that we've had to endure the never ending whining about how they don't get paid enough as professionals, who they continually claim provide a level of gameplay that is just as exciting as the men's in the NBA. But after all of that, a young woman named Caitlyn Clark, who worked hard to become great at their sport, comes into the league bringing in countless new fans and support with her. And how do these self professed deserving women and the head office of this league respond to it? Well, they decide to do everything in their power to give all these new fans yet another reason to not want to support them by how petty and pathetically immature a lot of them act towards this rookie phenom. This is a league of supposedly adult women who profess to be pros and yet act like they are jealous, petty, junior high school girls pissing over their bruised ego that the cute boy is going out with another girl. This is why a lot of guys don't watch the WNBA. It's tiring hearing these women who quote unquote don't need men whining about everything that men won't give them, even though they only exist because the NBA subsidizes them to the tune of, on average, $10 million every year. And despite the reality of their gameplay and lack of professionalism being that which creates that environment for them in the first place. The endless whining from many of these league stars is like watching one of those reality TV talent shows like AGT or American Idol, where a person shows up who just can't sing and then gets mad at the judges who say so, and then arrogantly accuses them of not being smart enough to know real talent. The way they act toward the judges in these shows should be humiliating for them, but they are so self absorbed and egocentric that they cannot see that they are the problem, not the judges. And so it is with the WNBA, because if these whining players were as professional as they've endlessly claimed, then they would understand the wisdom of taking advantage of what Caitlyn Clark has brought to the league and the increase of fan interest and apply themselves to focusing on providing the highest quality level of professional gameplay, whereby they would prove their claims and gain new fans and support. But apparently, they're not professional or even smart enough to realize the benefit. Instead, what they decided to do was everything in their power to destroy the opportunity to get everything they've cried and complained about all these years.
No, I don't want to look at all these damn idiots and fools on the internet. But he's yo, man. Let me look at this camera right here, 83. You women out there, y'all petty, man. Hey, LeBron, you're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlyn Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA. Don't be petty like dudes. Listen, what she's accomplished, give her her flowers. Stop being petty, all you women out there. She got y'all ass charters. She bringing all y'all this money to the table, but y'all being petty like dudes. LeBron, you 100% right. Y'all girls, stop being petty. Caitlyn Clark, thank you for bringing all that money and shine to the WNBA. They're going to hate you even more now. Hey, they can't do anything to me.
Since this young woman has entered the WNBA, she has been harassed in the public media by woke, liberal women, most, if not all, black women who seem to be offended that this young woman who can play so well is white. Here is a clip from The View's Sunny Hostin.
There is a thing called pretty privilege. There is a thing called white privilege. There is a thing called tall privilege. And we have to acknowledge that. And so part of it is about race. Because if you think about the Brittany Griners of the world, why did she have to go to play in Russia?
They wouldn't pay her.
Because they wouldn't pay her.
They wouldn't pay her. Not because she was black, but because they didn't believe in the WNBA.
This is part of my point. So now, Caitlyn Clark is bringing this money, these sponsorships, we hope, into the league, and other players will benefit from it. But I do think that she is more relatable to more people because she's white, because she's attractive. And unfortunately, there still is that stigma of against the LGBTQ plus community. 70% of the WNBA is black. A third of the players are in the LGBTQ plus community.
Now, in addressing this issue of race, allow me to enlighten Miss Hostin as to why it is that she's wrong. You see, races don't have gender biases. If Caitlyn Clark's popularity is based on her being white, then it would also be the reason that any NBA player would also be popular. So, if her claim that the issue with the player's popularity is based on whether or not said player is white, then explain how it is that the NBA can be so popular and supported when only 17.4% of the players are white. I mean, let's face facts. During the 2022-2023 NBA season, they generated $10.58 billion in revenue. That's right, $1 billion in revenue. The highest amount in the league's history. And clearly, the most popular and supported players have been black. Players like Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Shaquille O'Neal, Magic Johnson, Kobe Bryant, and so many others. So clearly, the race card is simply the usual attempt at race baiting and the excuse to justify why these women can hate Caitlyn Clark for her well-earned popularity. And let's quickly expound just why it is that Caitlyn Clark is so popular. You see, the thing that differs between Caitlyn Clark and these other jealous women is that the fans don't just love her for her basketball skills, they love her because who she is to them. She has always shown the fans how much she truly appreciates them by how she always takes the time to sign autographs and take pictures with them. She always shows them that she loves them. Hence, they are loyal fans because they love her. Something these jealous other women can't come close to making a similar claim for. But going on, she has continually been put down and harassed in the public media by many of the so-called stars of the WNBA, and clearly because of this junior high school level jealousy they can't seem to get over. When the season began this year, from game one, they have been abusively physical towards her, clearly attempting to punish her because they're immaturely jealous of her popularity. In the June 1st game against the Chicago Sky, as just one of many examples, Kennedy Carter walked up to Caitlyn Clark when the ball wasn't even in play and blindsided her with a hip check that knocked her to the ground. As this happened, Carter's teammate, Angel Reese, jumped up from the bench and began cheering that Caitlyn Clark was knocked down.
Mabry doubled off to Carter. Her jumper is good. Kennedy Carter now with 12 points off the bench. And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
And this is the type of so-called professionalism and maturity that these crybaby women claim makes them so deserving of being supported? Not surprisingly, the refs didn't even call a flagrant foul on Kennedy Carter, even though it happened purposely and committed when the ball wasn't even in play. Nor did they eject her, as is what should have happened. After all, during gameplay in another Chicago Sky game when they played the Connecticut Sun, Alyssa Thomas committed a hard foul on Angel Reese during gameplay and was immediately ejected. So clearly there's a different standard of rule applied towards Caitlyn Clark than the others in the league. What is even more pathetic is that the heads of the league, knowing from the start that these immature, jealous players publicly made it clear that they were targeting Caitlyn Clark, they did not instruct the refs or the team owners to make sure that there would be fair gameplay for Caitlyn Clark. Over the 10 games played this season, the Fever GM and head coach has continually filed complaints with the WNBA league headquarters over the purposed hard fouls committed on Caitlyn Clark, but to no avail. However, as of today, June 2nd, And only after the onslaught of online outrage over the blatant conduct of these so called professional players against Caitlyn Clark did the league finally intervene. They have changed the call to a flagrant one, albeit after the fact. And secondly, they lightly fined some of the Sky players for immaturely refusing to cooperate with their media responsibilities because they so hate Caitlyn Clark and refuse to be mature and professional enough to act like the pros they claim to be. Even though the league now acknowledges that this was a purposed and unsportsmanlike flagrant assault on Caitlyn Clark, they did not fine nor suspend Chennedy Carter. This is everything that is wrong with the WNBA and why so few really support it. Too many of these women act like spoiled children, whining and crying about everything. Yet one has to ask themselves that with all of the quote unquote women power being shouted about from every platform, why is it that even women don't support the WNBA? After all, aren't there just as many women out there to buy tickets so the league can be successful, just as there are men out there who make the NBA successful? What's interesting is that the reason women aren't showing up to make the WNBA successful is quite honestly because they're too busy showing up to the NBA. This league better start making better business decisions concerning how they are allowing these ego-bruised players to continually harass and unfairly attack Caitlyn Clark during gameplay, because according to StubHub, ticket sales for the WNBA has increased an astounding 93% since Caitlyn Clark arrived. Also, in every game that the Indiana Fever has played in this year with Caitlyn Clark, regardless of where the game was, they have had upwards of 11 to 15,000 fans show up. Last year, before the advent of Caitlyn Clark in the WNBA, the average crowd size of a game was 6,615. However, this year, according to Beyond Women's Sports, just in the first week of the season alone, league attendance was up a whopping 76%, with the Indiana Fever attendance up an unheard of 325%. Allow me to end by saying this. There are players in the WNBA that are worth watching and deserve the support. However, because of these immature, ego-bruised, whining crybabies that can't help but act like fools, they probably won't get to keep that support. What this league office and these pathetic, immature, and jealous players better learn quickly is that what they're doing is only going to cause many of us who have tuned in for the first time to tune right back out. And all of that incredible financial gain that the league is enjoying right now will disappear because no one wants to watch women whine, cry, and boo-hoo like a bunch of junior high school girls. So feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to hit that like button if you agree, especially since having likes really helps the channel. Also, thank you if you already have, but if you haven't, would you consider hitting that subscribe button, as that would be a great help to me in growing the channel. And I can't tell you just how much I'd appreciate your support. Hey, as always, I'd just like to say God bless you, and thanks for taking the time to listen. Until next time.